All right, welcome back, algebra students. We are starting with day 2 of 11.6. Yesterday we talked about simplifying radicals, and today we're just going over examples. We're learning nothing new. You might hear me use different verbiage or use different words to explain it, but we're learning no new content. So if you're like, hey, she didn't say that yesterday, I might just be trying to explain it a different way. Whenever we see radicals, or whenever we're trying to simplify radicals or identify where radicals lie on a number line, we always want our perfect squares. And you can always write those out. You have them handy in your brain at any given time. 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, please do this with me. 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8, 9 times 9, 10 times 10. We won't necessarily need anything bigger than that today, but you could easily find those 11 times 11, 12 times 12. And so you have those available to you if you ever need them. Let's look at some examples, and I'm just going to do 5 examples. Like I said earlier, I might explain it a little bit differently, hopefully in a better way for you. And if you're going, hey, you explained it better yesterday, I preferred the way you did it yesterday, that's totally fine. So let's look at the square root of 75. So simplify the square root of 75. Now, our first step is to figure out which perfect square goes into 75. And if there isn't any, we're done. Like if there isn't any perfect square that goes into 75, except for 1, we're done. We can't do anything. But I think there is. Now, does 1 multiply to be 75? Yeah, 1 and 75 does. So I'm going to put that there. Does 4 go into 75? No, because 4 is not divisible by 5. Now here's a way that you can do this. I use this for big numbers just to be sure, and you can use this for anything. Is 75 divisible by 4? We'll just check. No, it's not. 4 doesn't go in a whole number of times. It's not divisible by 4 to get a whole number. Is it divisible by 9? I already know that it's not, but you can check on your calculator to make sure. And you can do that for all the perfect squares just to be sure. And it is divisible by 25, so I'm going to check that out. And you would go all the way up to 75. So you would plug in 36, plug in 49, plug in 64. None of them work. So which perfect square am I going to use to multiply in? You always want to pick the biggest one. And you're going to rewrite that out. 75 is equal to 25. Sorry, I'm trying to use colors to help. 25 multiplied by what? Multiplied by 3, right? So the square root of 75 is equal to 25 multiplied by 3, and you can just put square roots over both of those. So that's where we're getting that 25 and 3 from, because 75 is equal to 25 times 3. And we can separate that out. At this point, the reason we picked a perfect square is because what is the square root of 25? And the square root of 25 is 5. If you ever forget this, I know some of this should be review and it should be simple, but if you ever forget, you have your calculator available to you. And the square root of 25 is actually 5. Now what's the square root of 3? Nothing. We just leave it. I mean, it is a number, it's just not a nice number. And that's our simplified answer. If I give you the square root of 75, let's actually check this out. The square root of 75 is equal to 8.66 something something, and 5 roots of 3 is equal to the same thing. So those are equivalent, and you can check to be sure that your answer is correct that way. All right, I might do a few more problems a little bit quicker. Simplify. Let's do the square root of, 72. Okay, so we want to look at numbers that go into 72. Is 72 divisible by 1? Yes. Is 72 divisible by 4? Yes, it actually is. It goes in 18 times. Is 72 divisible by 9? Yeah, it is. Oh, I thought that I was showing you my calculator here. Sorry. Yes, it is. So it goes, 4 goes in 18 times, 9 goes in 8 times. These are all perfect squares that go in, but you want to pick the biggest one. And we're still actually not there, so let's keep going. 72 divided by 16, Nope, doesn't go in 16. 72 divided by 25. I should already know that that doesn't work. The next one is 36. Oh, 36 goes in. And I could keep going up. These all go in, but you want to pick the biggest one. And 36 and 2 are the two factors you want to use. So 36 times 2 equals 72, sorry. So 72 is equal to 36 times 2. Hopefully that seems to be an easier task right now. That you take this and you figure out which is divisible by it and you pick the biggest one. And then lastly, we like the square root of 36. Why? Because what is the square root of 36? It's 6. And can I simplify the square root of 2? No. So that's my final answer there. And the same thing here, I should have put an arrow up here. Like the square root of 25 turns into 5. The square root of 36 turns into 6. That's why we pick a perfect square, because we want that number to turn into a whole number if we can. Let me try another example. At this point, there's just more examples, so if you think you're ready to start your assignment, feel free to hop off and try that now. But I'm going to do, I think, 2 more. Simplify the square root of 98. Okay, so 98. We could keep going. Is 98 divisible by 1? Yeah. Is it divisible by 4? No. Is it divisible by 9? No. Is it divisible by 16? No. Okay, is it divisible by 25? I'm not even going to check that because no. Is it divisible by 36? No. Is it divisible by 49? Yes. The only numbers it is divisible by is 1 and 49. That's it. And so we got to pick the biggest one, which is 49. 49 multiplied by what is going to give me 98? Well, I just did that on my calculator. It's 2. And this is 49. Now, hopefully this makes sense. 98 is technically 94 times 2, and you just leave those square roots. Now, if I cover that up, sorry, again, I was painting. If I cover this up, what is the square root of 49? And hopefully you have that memorized. If you don't, you have a calculator available to you. If you didn't bring your calculator home, there's a million online. There's one on your phone even. And the square root of 49 is technically 7. If you picked 7, you are correct. And then the square root of 2, I can't actually simplify it. That just stays the same. That doesn't actually change. Same thing up here. It stays the same. It doesn't actually change. Let's try one more. I know I said 5. We'll see 4 here. The square root of 24. What perfect square goes into 24? I lost my pencil. Does 1 go into 24? Yeah, it better. Does 4 go into 24? Yes, it does. Does 9 go into 24? No. Does 16 go into 24? No. And that's all the ones that could potentially or possibly go in. So we are going to write this out. What is the perfect square that goes into 24? 4 is. And 4 times what? 4 times 6. And that's the biggest perfect square. And I like perfect squares because what is the square root of 4? That is 2. And the square root of 16 can't be simplified. Like the square root of 16 is, the square root of 6 can't be simplified. Therefore, the square root of 6 is just in your answer that way. Hopefully this helps. Please reach out to your teachers for extra help. And this is what your assignment looks like today.